This is the AdHero Podcast, the podcast that reveals marketing tips, trends, and techniques by industry experts, insiders, and influencers. For years, AdSemble has helped businesses develop and launch campaigns to amplify their message, establish authority, and earn their lion's share of the market. This podcast will help you design and supercharge your plan to make an impact with valuable lessons you can apply in your business today. To get more information or start now, visit AdSemble.com. That's AdSemble.com. Let's get started.
Welcome to the AdHero Podcast. The last one here for 2020.
Thank God.
My name is Geno, Giovanni.
And I'm Matthew Olivieri. Man, you know, we're going to have to do a little throwback to 2019's year-end episode because that intro, ladies and gentlemen, was a lot better than last year's. In fact, let's just play a quick clip of the intro we did for last year's 2019 end-of-year episode.
There we go. Hit it.
Let's get started.
Welcome to the AdHero Podcast. My name is Geno Giovanni, along with
Matthew Olivieri.
And this is our year in review of 2019. That was terrible.
That was needless to say, we've improved quite a bit in 12 months. Well, my friend, 2020 is a year to forget. I don't think there's a single person who wants to re-experience the year 2020. And I'd be willing to bet that if we came back and listened to this episode maybe 5 years in the future, we would probably be still saying we don't want to go back and relive 2020.
Hey,
what a terrible year.
But you know what, though? I think the silver lining of it is people should look at it as, hey, it made me stronger. If you took that route.
Right. Yeah, there's always, you can always look at everything, a glass half empty and a glass half full. So if you went the half full approach of let me use this year to, really strengthen me and make me more gritty and make me more aggressive and hungry in terms of like scrappiness, then you did yourself a service by doing it that way because it'll probably help you in the future. Conversely, if this entire year you went and hid under a rock somewhere or in a cave, just hoping it would all go away, well, yeah, that's probably not going to work out too well for you.
And, and just real quick, it's interesting how we all came into this year like wanting to capitalize on the great success that America's had in the last 3.5 years.
Right.
And the economy, the whole thing booming. And then the start of it all, Kobe Bryant's death.
Wow. Yeah, we got a lot to cover. This is going to be a power-packed episode. Like Geno said, it's our last episode of the year. By the way, shout out to anyone watching this right now on our YouTube channel. That's been something that we've added to the AdHero Podcast repertoire is premiering the video episode of the podcast episode at the same time. So basically what we're doing is we're dropping the new episodes of the podcast every Friday or most Fridays on wherever podcasts can be heard, Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, etc. But we're also simultaneously videotaping this episode. And so that's kind of cool because we also drop it on our YouTube channel at AdSemble, and you can watch Friday night when it drops at midnight the premiere of the actual episode as well. And Geno, we were checking that out. We had quite a few viewers checking out the last episode.
We did. And if you want to comment below in the live chat that's taking place right now, that'd be really awesome.
And we might just give you a shout out if you do that. So shout out to all the people watching. And we got a lot to cover today, my man. What is dropping in our A block? Let's just get into it.
We got some exciting news here, and this
time.
is especially going to be exciting to you. We love to touch upon the streaming here, and it's like the Wild West when it comes to streaming, all the different apps out there. Right. This one, HBO Max, finally comes to Roku. The move comes just after Warner Media announced that it will simultaneously release the 2021 movies on HBO Max the same day as they debut in theaters. With approximately 46 million active accounts on Roku, it is important for Warner Media to have HBO Max available to as many of those customers as possible. HBO Max hasn't been available on Roku since the streaming service launched at the end of May, and Warner Media recently made an agreement with Amazon so Fire TV and Fire tablet users could access the app. HBO Max has just over 12 million active subscribers, and while executives publicly state that they're happy with HBO Max's performance, competitors like Netflix and Disney Plus are growing faster rates, just as Disney Plus now has 87 million subscribers.
That is crazy. So is this this is news as of today, the day we're recording this, or is this forthcoming January of 2021? Like, when does HBO Max officially drop on Roku?
No, it's happening now.
It's already happening. Okay,
Yeah.
Cool. Because I have a Roku, and I have an Amazon, and I have an Apple TV. I got them all. But I've been waiting for HBO Max to drop on all the platforms, especially Amazon. But yeah, still the big news out of all that is that the same day theater release. We talked about this before,
yes,
on a previous episode. I mean, just the power packed. I hope everyone listening has a really comfortable couch, because if you want to play it safe and not go to the theaters and just watch all this great cinema in your home, then man, make some popcorn, cozy up with a blanket and a loved one, and tune in. It'll be pretty fun.
I'm going to be at the movie theaters.
And one other comment, too. This is an interesting stat that HBO Max only has 12 million active subs, while Disney Plus has already amassed 87 million in 2 years. Geno, do you think that's because the content on Disney Plus is more family-friendly? Do you feel that that's why they're growing with such veracity?
That's a good question. I'm not exactly sure. I mean, when it comes to Disney Plus content, there is a lot of actually original content that they have, including Mandalorian, all these Marvel shows that are upcoming. They're about to be released next year, movies, and even all these old movies that no one really talks about. But there's a lot of old content in there that you can get from the Disney Vault that couldn't be accessed for decades, or if they was accessed, it was only accessed for a limited time. But Disney just always has something magical, and there was always a scare that people were going to drop off, let's say after the Mandalorian finishes, and their content only airs week by week as opposed to Netflix, which wants you to binge the entire time. And then as opposed to Warner Media and HBO Max, they have libraries and libraries and libraries of like all these great films. But I and correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think they have too much original content. However, when these slate of new movies comes out, I would suspect that they're going to get a ton of new users who don't want to go to the movie theaters, or maybe they did go to the movie theaters and they want to experience these shows right then and there at their home, because the HBO did have a 7-day window of free subscription, but I think they took that off now.
Got it. Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I mean, we recently had the episode where we talked about all the universe concept, right? And this certainly falls in line with Disney's universe, which is basically like a blanket universe for like Marvel Universe and all these other universes.
Yeah.
So I don't know it's like a universe on top of a universe. I don't know. But yeah, it's just the whole streaming thing is pretty crazy. If you haven't listened, go back and listen to our other episode where we talk about advertising on these streaming networks. We covered a lot of ground in that episode. It was a lot of fun to talk about that. A lot of good stuff happening though.
And one really quick thing I thought was crazy about this article that I pulled up. It says that HBO subscribers aren't really getting onto HBO Max right away, and they didn't explain why. But I thought that was very interesting.
That is interesting. We'll have to wait and see why.
And it's free. It's free for them to do it.
We'll have to wait, and maybe there's, people maybe they're scared. I'm taking a shot in the dark here, but whenever something new comes out, there's always that like, well, is it really free, or am I going to get duped into something here? Yeah. Or I'm comfortable with what I know. I don't want to try the new thing yet. Right?
I wonder if that backlash is from the previous apps, HBO Go and now.
Yeah, a lot of confusion with those previous apps. Now they're going to only be having HBO Max, so stay tuned. So, okay, what else do we got?
Oh, well, we do want people to comment and question below on our YouTube page as well. And
shout out.
Leave a voicemail at anchor.fm/the-AdHero-podcast.
There it is.
Okay, next thing we have. Space Force just announced that they will now be known as Guardians.
Okay, this is a really big deal because Space Force is the new branch of the military created by President Donald Trump. And it is a military division that is solely focused on outer space. There's some controversy around creating a military wing focused on outer space, because why do the taxpayers need to do that? What is the necessity of doing this? Is it all fake? Is it all fake news? I mean, you have commentary from all sides and all angles about this, right? But I think ultimately, I think it's a good thing, because we are on the heels of Elon Musk and others who are already starting to fly privately chartered spacecrafts into outer space. And, hey, I might be a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, but I believe personally that as more and more people start to venture into outer space, you will see it become like the Wild West of the old days, where if you just get to a space of land, or in this case, a planet, and you plant your flag in that ground and say, we could do the AdHero podcast planet. We could take a charter a private spacecraft and just put a flag and say, we're claiming this planet in the name of the AdHero podcast.
Run to Tom Cruise. This is my land.
Right. So, I think there's some validity behind starting to understand what the needs are going to be to possibly have to engage in some sort of military order in outer space. And hey, folks, don't be shocked if in the next 25 or 30 years, if there's a legitimate space Star Wars that takes place. A legitimate Star Wars that could take place between different countries trying to claim that they own a planet or a star or something that they discover. And then everyone will look back and go, man, that was kind of a good idea back in 2020 to create Space Force. But I guess, sorry, just to say that the crux of this comment or this story, is the name of what these soldiers are going to be called. And so apparently what Geno has dug up here is that there was a year-long process of submissions, hundreds of submissions. What do you call these new space soldiers?
Yeah, it's like Marines are frogmen. No, not Navy SEALs.
Right.
Navy's like swabbies.
Sure.
Marines are jarheads.
Yep. And now Space Force cadets are going to be known as Guardians. And the comedy behind that is a lot of people on Twitter are giving the U.S. government shit because they're kind of saying, hey, listen, the Space Force logo already looks like Star Trek. True story. And now here you come along taking the Guardians of the Galaxy name, and you're going to be calling these soldiers Guardian. I wouldn't mind being a Guardian.
Yeah.
Sounds like kind of a cool title.
Well, someone tweeted out, Guardians of what?
Right. Well, and
if you knew, girl, if you knew.
And that's the point. You have to be prepared for. So kind of I think it's a cool thing, but it's kind of a trending thing on Twitter right now for those reasons.
And by the way, real quick, 2020, Twitter, too much, man. Too much hate on Twitter.
Yeah, let's clean up the hate.
Every tweet on Twitter about this was all hateful.
Well, there's a lot of people that are maybe feeling down in the dumps, and so they're venting their frustrations on Twitter. But yeah, let's clean up Twitter in 2021. Let's clean it up.
Or
all right,
go to a
what do we got
different
next?
platform.
What do we got next?
What we got next is the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it's expanding, people. Daredevil's Charlie Cox coming to the MCU proper, not the Netflix part, but the actual movie side.
Wow.
And he'll be starting off in She-Hulk, later transitioning to Spider-Man 3, as well as there'll be 2 previous theatrical Peter Parkers making their debut in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, that being Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire.
They're reprising their roles.
Correct.
Okay.
And Marvel Studios also had an announcement at their Investor Day, which happened last week, on a new slate of films and streaming shows. And I'm not going to mention the ones that were on the previous episodes that we talked about, but here's all the new stuff that's going to be added on in Phase 4. Fantastic Four, Ironheart, Black Panther 2, Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday, Captain Marvel 2, Blade, Ant-Man the Wasp, Quantumania, Secret Invasion, Armor Wars, I Am Groot, and Legends.
Wow, that is a freaking lineup right there, man. I'm specifically looking forward to Black Panther 2. I'm really curious to see how they replace.
No one knows yet.
No one knows yet how they're going to replace.
Officially.
Yeah, that's right. Chadwick, I mean, he is just legendary in that movie, so we'll have to wait and see. But Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday, wow, Captain Marvel 2, and then Blade. Blade is just going to be awesome because I remember the other Blade,
the original trilogy,
right? And I really like those films a lot. With Wesley Sniper, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right. That's right.
Really good films. So we'll have to get into that. But man, that is big breaking news. That's something good to look forward to in 2021. This is a year-end episode. We're putting 2020 to bed. We're getting rid of it. That's some good stuff to look forward to in 2021, my friend.
We definitely do. All these new slates of films. There's a lot of innovative stuff. Real quick, Guardians of the Galaxy, that's going to be a Christmas episode. Rhodes is finally getting his own movie with Armor Wars. And it's actually kind of funny with Captain Marvel 2, because there was believed to be that Brie Larson was actually going to get fired, but I guess she's still on.
There we go.
So anyway, I want to pivot towards you on the gaming segment, MJO Snaps.
Oh, Snaps is in the house. Happy to report on the gaming segment of the show. If you guys recall, if you're just tuning in for the first time, this whole beginning part of our program, I always like to kind of give a little recap for new listeners. The beginning part of the program, we like to obviously cover a lot of things happening in the world, both in whatever case could be politics, pop culture, entertainment. But we also like to throw a little snippet in there for the gaming universe because it's such a prolific, big, huge thing that's taken place. These games are a big deal, and nothing could be bigger than at the time of this recording of this episode of the podcast than the release of Cyberpunk 2077. If you have not seen the ads for this game, have you had your head in the sand for the last couple of weeks?
Fantastic marketing.
All over TV, internet, billboards,
energy drinks.
Cyberpunk 27. I mean, their marketing spend and their marketing budget for the release of this game, well, let's just say it was probably they spent a little extra too much money on the marketing and not as much on the development of the game.
What is the game again? Like what does it do?
Okay, so it's a role-playing game, otherwise known as an RPG. You build a character. I actually did buy the game, and I've streamed it on my channel. You can tune in and check me out on Twitch Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, 8 o'clock on your dial. That's Pacific Standard Time at twitch.tv/MJOSnaps. It's a role-playing game. You build a character, and then this character goes into this world called Night City. Night City is basically like this futuristic, you could think of it like a futuristic New York City, so to speak, right? And you are tasked. It's kind of like a choose-your-own-adventure book. You go around and you can pick up different tasks to do, and you can interact with every character in the world, and different things you choose to say to the characters result in different outcomes. Different missions you choose to accept or deny have different results. So there's probably like 50 million different combinations of things you can do depending on how you choose to interact in the world. But the big story is that because of the great marketing, so many people bought this game. And there's just a backlash because the game is riddled with glitches. And so one example in the game is like you can walk through a wall. Okay? And there's another example where if you can ride a motorcycle in the game, and if you park the motorcycle next to a vending machine, you suddenly find yourself stuck inside the vending machine just by parking your motorcycle too close to it. And so these are, pretty common glitches that most gamers are saying they should have easily caught that before they release this game. And so it's a big deal because Sony, it won't issue a refund if you bought a digital PlayStation copy, but but they did take it out of the PlayStation Store. I saw that, so more people don't keep buying it. And then the manufacturer themselves are like they've been apologizing for how terrible these glitches are. So they're gonna, over time, they're gonna do releases that you can download to upgrade the game, and so you can fix those glitches. But yeah, the bottom line is they spent a boatload of money on the marketing. Keanu Reeves is a sponsor, and he's actually in the game. He's featured in the game. And fans are just really disappointed. So we'll have to see how that goes, but that's a little quick snapshot for you right there. Now we want to transition and get into the main meat and potatoes of the episode, the B block.
B block, please. Okay. Yeah, you know what? It's an incredible year, and I'm not saying incredible in like the most hard, fun way.
Right.
It's just amazing what has happened. I mean, I personally feel like I've been in a movie the entire time.
Oh, yeah.
All the crazy stuff that's never happened.
Feels like it's been World War Z.
Yeah. pretty much.
Yeah. No, incredible is a good way to describe it, actually. It's, I mean, when we look back on this 50 years from now, we're going to be telling our grandkids that we survived 2020.
Right.
We survived the pandemic. It's like nothing else that we've ever experienced. Nothing else we want to experience ever again.
Yeah. I mean, there was a ton of stuff. The pandemic, the riots,
an election.
Oh God.
Kobe Bryant's death.
I mean, I personally had some family die. Like I know a lot of other people did.
Right.
Like a lot of famous people died. Like crazy.
The number of people
stuff.
who lost their jobs, the number of businesses that shut down.
Yeah. That
will never come back. How about just the entire way that society has had to pivot and change how they live and how they work? I mean, you have entire families now working from home. The husband and the wife, the mom, the dad working in the same house as the kids. The kids are now all on iPads learning virtually while the parents are virtually conducting meetings on Zoom.
Well, we want to think they're learning, but stats show I guess they haven't been learning.
Right. It's tough. But, and then really fascinating as of late, you have some of the biggest corporations in the world out here in California where we're recording this from. And they're just up and moving their entire corporate headquarters to other states.
They're done with California.
Well, they're done for California for a number of reasons.
And New York.
Probably, and New York for, political reasons, tax reasons, etc. But probably most prevalently, they don't feel like they need to have a huge office building space in California anymore because the pandemic has revealed that people can work remote and just do video chats and type online, and they can still be as efficient. And in fact, I read a study, and I wish I could quote this study for you right now, but there's a very large percentage of people that want, even when the vaccine gets mass distributed, they want to stay working at home now. They feel comfortable working at home. They don't want to go back into an office. And that is mind-blowing. It's like it's been like a shift. on the entire way work and life gets done.
And those people actually are moving to states that is less in cost, because it's like, why would they want to stay in California in a big city paying top dollar?
Yeah, the only reason they did that before is because they had to physically go into their office. Well, now they don't have to do that. So yeah, why not move to North Carolina? Why not move to Iowa or Montana, someone that has a lot more beautiful scenery and not maybe so much smog and traffic and everything else.
Right.
But if we just take a quick snapshot back at 2019, we had some interesting things to say about what we thought 2020 was maybe going to be about. Geno, why don't we play a quick clip for the listening audience right now on what we thought 2020 was going to have in store. Let's hit it.
Okay, roll it.
Big companies, right? They're established. They probably move much slower than a startup, obviously, because there's just many more people involved in the decision-making process. Probably, arguably, set in their ways in many capacities. What would you recommend someone listening who's in a position to make some changes in an organization of that size? What would you recommend to that person that they challenge themselves to do in 2020 to grow that company forward?
They just might have to disrupt their process.
My recommendations are aligned with what you just shared.
Oh my God. Were we off just a little bit there?
Just a little bit, though.
Just a tad.
Just a tad.
Just a tad. Yeah, nobody saw what was... I wonder what the over-under or the odds would have been if you could have gone back in December of 2019 and bet some money that a pandemic would hit in 2020.
Well, we knew
50 million to 1 odds.
Well, technically, we knew something was around at the end of 2019, but to get to all the way over here and all the politics involved in it,
right?
It just was maddening. And by the way, real quick, my heart goes out to all the small businesses that are forced being closed down by the state governments. Totally pray for you guys every night.
Oh yeah, big time. Now they do have a vaccine out. It's been approved. It's starting to get distributed. So, Godspeed that is gets out to all the places where it needs to go and in the right order and an orderly way, and people can get vaccinated. And life in 2021 can kind of get back on track. So, I just, I'm just sitting here in awe of what we've experienced this year. I have to say, I was actually personally really excited to record this episode of the pod because I'm anxious to put this year behind us personally. But I'm also interested in being able to get to next year's end of year recording, 2021, and look back and see how far the country has come and how far business has hopefully come back. So just kind of ducktailing into our predictions for 2021. I think there was some things that we did say in last year's episode that are still relevant. They still held true even in a pandemic. Okay, and Geno, you actually had those sound bites. So why don't we roll a quick little sound bite of some of the stuff you said that people need to do for 2020, and it actually still holds true even in the pandemic. Roll it. Pretty awesome year for myself personally. Geno, how about you? How would you describe your 2019?
There was a lot of accomplishments, a lot of leveling up. I needed this year in order to get into next year, because next year it's just going to be insane.
What would you say would be a key thing that a small business startup person just listening to this podcast, trying to get some ideas to power up their marketing and advertising, what would you say that they need to focus on in 2020?
I would focus on executing. Don't spend too much time planning, because you won't know if it worked unless you try.
Okay, so did you just take a spaceship to the future and know that could still work in a pandemic? How did you know to give that really great sound advice last year?
I've and I don't talk very well on the mic, but when it comes, I think when I think back on it, I remember reading something and maybe hearing some things. I remember Gary Vee was one of the people I remember hearing. and then some other champion economists who love entrepreneurs or are big on entrepreneurship. People who I listen to on a daily basis for motivation in the business world.
Interesting.
Yeah. So the focus was like execution. Don't plan so much and just see if it works.
Right.
And we saw that like when look, when after the lockdown, I know at AdSemble, we really took a stance that, look, we're going to do our part to help save the American economy. And there was a lot of people who were doing that. I know Jordan Belfort was doing it. A lot of different companies just trying to save America. And it worked. It worked. How do you save the American economy? You work.
Right.
And look, we had at AdSemble just a ton of new businesses coming to us with their ideas and saying, look, I've never advertised before. I'm a little hesitant, but I'm going to do it. And they did billboard advertising along with online and so forth. And it was just really, really inspiring after a while when I started noticing it. And, the American ingenuity, no matter how much they want to keep us on lockdown, the American people, the American spirit is alive and well and is there to kick ass.
There it is, right there. You heard it from the man himself. So let's talk about some bold predictions for 2021.
Oh, okay.
Prediction number 1, the vaccine will be completely available to everybody who needs it and wants it by the end of Q1. So that would be March 31st of 2021. That is my big, bold prediction right there. By the end of Q1.
Operation Warp Speed.
Operation Warp Speed. Because we're sitting in December right now, and they're already starting to get out the vaccine to all over the country.
Yeah, happened today.
Right.
Our
right.
elected officials are.
So I believe by the end of March, that's 90 plus days out from now. That's a big enough amount of time for mass production run and distribution to get everybody a copy of the vaccine who needs it, wants it, etc. Bold prediction number 2, by the end of Q3 of next year, that would be March, April, January, February, March, April, May, June, September. By the end of September, I should have known that by the back of my head. By the end of September of next year, we will see sporting events, movie theaters, everything back fully open again, back to their original capacity levels. So I'm talking about NFL football game. We'll be able to have 80,000 people back in the stands again by the end of September of next year.
Marvel Studios is already planning on releasing all their movies in theater.
Right. There it is. And big, bold prediction number 3 for me will be that by December of next year, the economy will be starting to roar back at near pre-COVID levels. It won't quite be full-blown pre-COVID levels because we were just kicking ass, but it'll be on the trajectory of getting there, and it'll be 2022 that we really hit our stride to get back to pre-COVID levels. So that's my 3 bold predictions.
Now, are you talking unemployment? Or
I'm talking everything. The whole kit and caboodle.
Okay.
Unemployment levels dropping, more businesses roaring back, people, people hitting high levels on things. By December of next year, that's my 3 bold predictions. What do you got?
Oh, wow. I like those predictions. I must admit too, like real quick, after a few months into the lockdown and the economy roaring back, the losses that we gained in the stock market came back and then some. It's just that, and the unemployment fell a lot. But I really hope that the unemployment can drop to pre-COVID. So I'm kind of
by when?
By okay, we'll say December. Or going into 2022.
Okay, let's work backwards. So we got that for you for December for unemployment levels. When do you see the vaccine being mass available?
In Q1, just
Also
same as
in
you.
Q1.
Yeah, same
Okay.
as you. I
All
mean,
right. Okay.
I seen it today with like politicians and by the way, I have to mention this. There's a video out of a doctor who was getting the vaccine, but who was administering it. This other doctor acted like they were putting the vaccine in the doctor, but he really didn't.
Oh,
It's
geez.
very interesting. It's all over Twitter. By the way.
And how about in regards to stadiums, movie theaters, stuff like that? What time of next year do you see that coming back?
Stadiums is hard. I don't know. Like I could see maybe like 10, 20,000 like trying it out. Maybe give it to the end of the year.
Wow. Okay. So we have a little bit of a difference. There. That's
yeah,
fine. That's
like
cool.
I could see like 20, 30%, because we're slowly already starting to see that now. I noticed. Movie theaters, yeah. Although, hey, look, AMC's super struggling right now. Their stock is down. I don't even know if they'll even be in business, to be honest with you. But Regal Theaters will be open.
Wow.
I do want to say this, though,
Right.
and I'm very, like, wholehearted on this. I think one prediction is, and it's already beginning, folks. There's going to be a shift in social media and the platforms that will be taking on, that they already are taking on, Facebook and YouTube and so forth. And there'll be more people on places like Parler, Rumble, Odyssey, and then even news channels will be definitely rivaled. Who knows if CNN will still be around, but Newsmax, OAN, NTD, all coming up. And that those businesses, I think, are going to really, they've already had a surge in new users and viewers, and I think we're going to see even more in 2021.
All right. Well, there it is. There's another tidbit from Geno on what his bold predictions are. We got mine dropping there. I got one other final question or curiosity for a bold prediction. We mentioned just earlier that people are kind of used to working from home now, comfortable working from home. Once the vaccine is mass available, do you feel that a lot of people will want to return to an office setting so they can have camaraderie with their colleagues and coworkers, sitting around the water cooler, having talks, stuff like that?
Or do you want to return to your office?
Right. Yeah, maybe let you, the listener, tune in and let us know what you think on that. But Geno, what do you think? You think people are going to be wanting to go back to their office, or are they comfortable working from home now?
Great question. I've heard, and I don't have any studies to cite, but I heard that a lot of people are also getting very comfortable working from home. The productivity levels have skyrocketed. Although I guess there's some studies saying that no, it's not. But I don't know. I think it depends on like what they're actually talking about. But I've heard for the most part that production levels have increased. So I could see a lot of like tech jobs staying at home. Although overall, I see a lot of people just want to get outside. I help run a business outside of this. It's like Tree Farm. And we had a surge of people coming through to getting Christmas trees this year, and they all just want to get out of the house. So and they want to support small business too. By the way,
very nice. I love that, man. I love that. So there it is, folks. There's our comparison to last year's episode, along with some of our big bold predictions for 2021. But kind of like what Geno said last year, just carry over into next year. That gritty ingenuity, American ingenuity, entrepreneurial spirit, or if you're listening from another country, because we've had massive growth in 1 year's time for our international listeners. So continue that spirit of entrepreneurship in the international space as well. And that's a wrap, I think, for this year's end of year episode. We like I said, we're excited about what the future holds as the vaccine rolls out, but we also have to keep our nose to the grindstone, as they say. So keep working hard, and I think that's a good place to end it for this year's sign off of the worst year I've ever experienced, 2020.
You have a sound effect for that? Like a bleh.
Yeah. Oh, I should have had one ready. I should have had one ready. I could just pick a random one here, but it might backfire. So no. I will just say it was a shitty year. let's move on. Here's a glass shatter. There you go. That's a good way to summarize 2020.
I want to hear one where like a guy's like getting like punched or something like that.
Yeah.
Like a gut check.
Nice. Okay, Geno, where can everybody find us on social media?
Follow us online through social media at AdSemble. On our YouTube page, give us a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to be notified about all AdHero shows. And don't forget to leave a comment or question below and let us know your thoughts. For inquiries and more information about outdoor advertising, visit our site, AdSemble.com. Find the AdHero podcast on all major podcast platforms. Also, really quick, how can they subscribe to us?
Okay, so you hit up the anchor.fm page of the AdHero podcast, and you can actually join and give a contribution to help us grow of any size dollar amount. I believe you could even do like $1 a month or something like that. And if you do, you will officially become a guardian of the AdHero podcast. Like how I
That's right.
that in there. So we're gonna build a little guardian army over here.
Ooh, I love it.
And you can join us and help us out. What is it? What does the money go towards? It goes towards new equipment we might need. It goes towards different things that we can set up in our studio here. Just anything to make the show more entertaining, more engaging. And we would, if you like what you hear and you want to support us, we would always welcome that support, and we'll give you a shout out as well.
Yeah, because also YouTube took off their monetization, so I don't think we're getting monetized.
Well, there's even more reason. So check us out on anchor.fm if you want to do that. And thank you so much for tuning in all year. We can't wait to be back for season 3.
Ooh.
And I don't know, Geno, why don't you take us home?
Okay, thank you for tuning in to the AdHero podcast. My name is Geno Giovanni.
And I'm Matthew Olivieri.
Signing out.
Want to advertise big and build massive brand authority at the same time? It's easier than you think. Open Display by AdSemble lets you advertise on digital billboards nationwide. Just go to opendisplay.com for a free account to get started.